Hi, this is a foreigner in the Philippines. We have a lot of messages from people who intend to come out, men who intend to come out to the Philippines, either with or without their wives. They're already married to a Filipina and they're not quite sure, or mostly the single guys this really applies to, because the married guys will have some kind of a method and they'll have somebody here, probably family, so they're coming to a better situation in many ways. But for the single guys who intend to come out and they're maybe a bit daunted by the idea that they're coming out to no one, what do they do? How do they do this? Well, one method that I've found that works for leaping out into the unknown is that you obviously have to do some groundwork. Well, how do you do that? What do you do? What's the first thing that you do? Well, how do you arrive at the first thing that you need to do when you haven't done this before? So here's what I did. I imagined myself here, and I've done this with other places as well. I've taken quite a few leaps into the unknown. I went to Australia, I went to China, and how I did it was to imagine myself there. So, let's say that you're coming out to the Philippines. You're here. In your mind, you have to be here. So, what's your situation? Well, here's where your imagination goes to work. You have to visualize things. Now, people tell me that they can't visualize. Right. Here's a little test that you can do while you're watching this video to see how good, or if whether or not you have visualization ability. Everybody can visualize. So, close your eyes. Imagine a picture of your mother. Just imagine your mum or your dad, or a girlfriend, or a brother, or a sister. Can you imagine them? Can you see them in your mind? Okay, wake up. You're able to visualize. Everybody can. When somebody comes into a room, how do you know that it's them? How do you know that that's Harry, your brother? Well, because you already have a picture in your mind of Harry, your brother. And when this person walks in the room, you look at him, is that Harry, my brother? You instantly know because you're comparing it with existing information. So here's what you have to do. You have to put that visualization ability to work and get some pictures if you have to. Get some pictures of the kind of Philippines you would like to be in. Now, most of us, myself included, think of a white beach, think of vacation, holiday kind of setup. Well, as we know from my videos, our videos, it doesn't work out like that. I can't see a beach from here, and I'm not worried by it. I'm very happy where I am. So, does your visualization have to be totally perfect? No, it doesn't. It may be quite different when you get here. But let's imagine this ideal scene that you have of life in the Philippines. So you get some pictures and now you have something to aim for. You imagine yourself in that situation. And then you ask yourself, what's the last thing that I did? Well, if you're all set up in an apartment, what was the last thing you did? Well, you signed the lease, right? You moved your furniture in. You did all of those things which are associated with setting up an apartment, and all of that was known to you. So you did all of that. What was the last thing you did before that? Would be to sign the lease. Well, what was the last thing you did before that? Well, you looked for an apartment. What was the last thing before that? You actually got the newspaper to look at it, or you spoke to people, do you know where there's an apartment? What was the last thing before? And so on. You do all of that and you step back, getting off the plane. Before you got off the plane, what did you do? Well, you got on the plane. And before that, what did you do? You bought a ticket. What did you do before that? Well, you paid for the ticket. Now, this may be the start of where you really start to imagine how things are going to be. You paid for the ticket. How did you do that? Well, you'd saved up, so you had that money in your account. Where did you get that money from? Well, you did that extra job. I don't know, you mowed lawns, or you cleaned cars, or you did extra time at work, and you got the money together to do that. And how long did that take? Well, it took as long as it took. Did you save $50 a week? Did you save 100? Did you save 1,000? You work it out. Well, if I saved $1,000 a month, then I would need $4,000. You have to decide how much, and it took me 4 months. So I'm coming back 4 months. What did I do before that? Well, I decided where I wanted to live, and so on. So you do all of those steps, but you do it in reverse. There you were in the Philippines. You decided that you would move into a particular area, and you step back. All that you do is you step back. The idea behind this is that if you step back enough times, you will arrive at the very next thing that you need to do. And the next thing that you need to do, the first thing you need to do to effect this monumental move, this great relocation to a new life in a new country, that next thing may be as simple as tidying your room. If you were in a mess, you couldn't think properly, you'd tidy your room. You'd tidy your house. You'd clean your car. You'd take a moment to actually think about what you're going to do. The object of it is, in separating out all of those confusing, bewildering, overwhelming things that will need to be done in order to move from one country to another, may be as simple as cleaning your car. Now, I know that there are people out there who are programmed to find fault that will say, well, what good is cleaning your car going to do? Well, the point is that what you want to do is to... So it may be a very simple thing that you have to do next. Once you have located, once you have said, this is what I need to do, here's what you have to do. You have to do it. And that will start off this chain of events which will lead to you realizing your dream. Now, it may take a few times back and forth on that. In other words, you'll have to imagine yourself here in the Philippines or in China or in South America or wherever it is that you want to go. You may have to go backwards and forwards. Go back, work everything back again to realizing your dream. Get your dream, take all of the steps back to the very first thing that you need to do, and then work it backwards and forwards. Eventually, you will iron out of all of this, all of these different actions, you will find the very next thing that works. And you will find a method which will take you to the place that you want to be. Now, a very good example that I heard, which I thought really worked, was by one of the great motivational speakers. And he said, imagine that you have a ship in the port, and it is loaded up with fuel, the engines are turned on, and it heads out to sea. It has a captain. You are the captain. In your case, you are the captain. It has a crew who know what they're doing. You have to have decided how things will be done in a sane and sensible way. And it has all of the equipment that it needs to be able to make the trip. Now, one vital thing, it needs to have a course charted. So the example that was so very good in my mind was, imagine the same ship loaded up with fuel, the engine started and it being pointed out to sea without a captain, without a crew, without any plan for where it will go. Where will it go? Well, it will go nowhere, because eventually it will just be grounded. So, if you're hoping that you will be able to get to one place, wherever that may be, you have to decide where that will be. You have to set a course. You have to be in charge of all of the things that need to be done, and you have to be willing to do them. In other words, you have to be a crew to your own plans, and you have to be able to do what has to be done. Now, everybody has a natural level of action that they are able to put in. Now, a real life example would be when I decided that I was coming to the Philippines. I decided I'm going to buy a ticket. I sold my car and I bought a ticket. But before I did that, before I bought the ticket, I had to decide, when will I go? And I looked around at all that had to be done. I had to sell everything that I had. And I thought, I can't possibly do this in less than 2 months. I don't think I can do it. And so I set the course for, I think it was either 2 or 3 months. And then what did I do? I sat around thinking, well, I can't sell my refrigerator before I'm ready to go, and I can't do this before I'm ready to go. And I ended up waiting for 2 months, and then in the last month I did everything. Now, I realized after that I could have done everything in a month. We have dogs. I could have done everything in a month. So make sure that you are a little bit adventurous when you set your date. Set it so that it scares you a little, and then go ahead, work your plan backwards, forwards, until it works. Find the next thing that you need to do, be it clean your car, go out and clean your car, sell it, or whatever has to be done, and just do something on it every day. You have your plan, do something on it every day, and you will be where you want to be. So I'll end off now while the dogs are not barking, and I'll hope that you will look in again. Please like, subscribe, comment. Let's hear how you are doing on your plan. Always love to hear how people are doing on their plan. And also, especially, I get really wonderful messages about people who have married happily, maybe had a child, but have made a successful life in the area that we talk about, which is Philippine foreigner. So let's hear from you. Love to hear from you. And now the chickens have started up. I'll say goodbye. This is a foreigner in the Philippines. Bye.